You see, I love London. It's amazing. I started thinking to move here, actually. A short disclaimer, AI is complex. Don't try it to build it in-house. And at the end of this talk, you might realize why I'm saying that. But let's get to it. My name is Amir. I was studying computer science, but after graduation, I thought, okay, this is not what I want to do. It's not cool. So I started study art, and I graduated from Art Academy, actually. But then I ended up building an open source web browser. And then since then, I started building software. I built a rebrowser in 2016. In 2018, I started another venture with the focus on computer vision and NLP, doing a lot of intention recognition, behavioral and action detection, etc. Those various stuff with computer vision and NLP. And since 2018, around the same time, I started building Unbody, the one that I'm the founder and CEO at. Today, let me give you a bit of a context quickly, and I'm going to go through all these boring slides very quickly. We get to the real world by showing you the demo, but this is also important. We are not going to go back to the time before ChatGPT. The user, humans, we all seen and experienced ChatGPT. We are no longer looking for information. We are looking for answers. And this mental shift in the user mentality has affected a lot the businesses. Customers are demanding different variations of AI into the applications. Businesses are really looking for AI applications. But and you have heard the word, the buzzwords, and the name AI natives. But what the heck is that? So in my belief and the way how we define it in Unbody, it's a more human software. It's a software that can make a dialogue with human, understand your data, understand the context, and you can interact with it in a more human way. However, from a business point of view, this is usually what we hear from our clients. We say they want to have Perplexity for our own data. We want to have ChatGPT to our own data. We want to have GitHub Autopilot to apply to our own documentation. And I think James pointed out as well, the private data and merge it into the AI and applying into that, that's the real challenge. And that's the future. But there is some problem. This is a very simple tech stack you need to put together to build a simple Q&A bot for your own private data that is hosted on Google Drive, for example. It's around 12 different frameworks. And God forbid, you have to know Python. There is no other way around it. So let me get into the details a bit further, if I can move this around. Ooh, perfect. So getting into the more details, this is a very highly overall situation. Do you remember I told you ChatGPT for our own data, Perplexity for our own data? About 80–90% of those use cases that every business owner or every developer might have thought about, there is something behind it that we call RAG. RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. So now I have a question. How many of you are technical people? Pretty much everyone. Half, let's say. How many of you have deployed and put together a full pipeline of a RAG? Be honest, I'm going to ask questions. 2. You see, I was kidding. I'm not going to ask questions. So this is a RAG. Data comes in, your data is hosted anywhere. Then you need to keep reading that data. That's very important. So far, we have spent about 500 hours of development. Then you need to process that data, format it, chunk it, clean it, make it ready to be ready for AI. Then you need to enhance it, meaning that you need to add more content to it, extract metadata out of it, a lot of other things that you might be missing in the raw data. And then you need to vectorize it. Vectorization is basically turn it into a numeric representation that large language models and AI understand. Then you need to store that vector numbers in a specific database called vector database. And only then you are ready to connect it to large language models. Then user can send a natural human language query to you, and then you send it, you run it against your database using the LLMs, etc., to get a response back. a lot of complexity, and I'm not talking about more advanced stuff, for example, like a DSPy or LLM routing and all those sort of things, fine tuning, lowering the hallucination. Each of these is a complexity. How we tackle this at Unbody is like this. We say we put all those buzzwords into one box, plug in, play, and start building right away. Because a front-end developer, iOS developers, Android developer, you don't have to know all those buzzwords. You need to do what you're good at. You are making beautiful transition on React or Angular, right? Or you are making a nice button on iOS using Swift. You don't need to deal with all of those. And apart from that, Unbody gives you a lot more. And I will talk about that in a second. So let me show you how Unbody works. This is Unbody website. When you go there, there is a dashboard. You can go to the dashboard, and your journey starts here. You can create a project. Each project isolate your data, right? Your scope. You have a web application. You have a, I don't know, another project. You make a project. So let's give it here. I'm going to call it London. And then here you can basically, because again, we are trying to make it as non-AI engineer friendly as possible. So we are trying to really like make it easy for every developer to apply. And that's why we can start with presets. And with presets, for example, if you want to build more search-specific application or generative application, for each of these, we have various of models and setup you can choose. And even from this, we already have the latest models for each provider, or you can go with generative. And as you can see, for example, we have also open source self-hosted models. You can upload your own models, or you can grab any model from Hugging Face and upload it, etc. Or you can go with use cases, or if you are a bit more advanced, you can go deep into it. So for example, you can set up your text vectorizers, meaning that, hey, whenever the text document or text material comes in, use one of these models to process it, or one of these embeddings to vectorize it. Same for images. And also you can get a bit of more features like, let's say, Q&A modules. These Q&A modules are fine-tuned models to produce as minimum as possible hallucination. So for example, they are very good at question answering. So they don't give any answer unless it's specified in your data, right? Apart from that, the Unbody comes also with content enhancement features. So for example, you say, hey, if you enable image captioning, auto captioning, that means any visual material comes to Unbody, presentation file, anything, right? It gets right away, it generates an auto captioning for it. It applied the OCR on top of it to extract the information. Or for text material, it already generates a summary. It extracts the name entities, topic extraction, etc. And for those who are a bit more technical, we provide also search utilities like re-ranker and spell check, etc. Once you have set up your configuration, you create the project. And once the project is ready, now you can start adding sources to it. You say, hey, my data is here. And data can be any format, PDF, video, images, audio, in any structure, doesn't matter. Just dump the file in through files at Unbody, and it already picks it up. So let's say Google Drive. And we have integration already with Google Drive, Calendar, Discord, GitHub. Local folders are coming soon in our open source version. And in fact, we also have a backdoor which you can send data directly using an API. Anyhow, let me quickly show you my drive. So this is a drive that I have. There are two drives here. In the shared drive, we have Unbody folder. Inside here, there are a couple of folders. Folder demo 1, I'm going to use it. And as you can see, there are a lot of different files. Video, audio, images, markdown file, MDX file. There are folders with articles again inside that. I have 2 Google Docs about electric cars, 2 articles about Quentin Tarantino. And so this is the folder. Doesn't matter. The structure doesn't matter. Data in, we take care of the rest. So here, the next step, connect to Google Drive. And at this point, you basically need to give permission to Unbody to access to your data. And you can see Unbody is like basically official authorized application of Google, so that you can read the privacy policy, how we treat the data, etc. But that is kind of a guarantee from in privacy point of view. Then next, and then here Unbody lists all those basically folders. You remember the demo 1. You can also select the entire drive, doesn't matter. We go with demo 1. Next, and initialize. At this time, system goes and read all the data, process and do all those 12 steps that I showed you and store it, and it's ready to use. No, you don't need to do anything else. You just need to make one line of code and make it work. And every time you make a change in your data, it picks it up, it processes it immediately on fly. So just to give you an idea what you can do, let me go back. My phone is... Okay. So here, we can interact with Unbody in two ways, either graphical API, I hope some of you know, or with SDKs that we have, like JavaScript. I'm going to just demo quickly using the graphical endpoint. This is a playground for it, of course. But here, this is how you can, hey, give me all the Google Docs. Is it too small or is it okay? Okay, give me all the title of all the Google Docs. No, instead give me all the text from them. It already gives you the text. Give me the HTML format. It gives you that. But it doesn't stop there. It can give you also auto topics. It already extracted those topics and it's there. It can give you the auto name entities or auto summary. What's the summary of each of these? Now let's do a bit more cool stuff. So here you can see 2 articles about electric cars, 2 articles about Tarantino. Now we want to do semantic search. I would say near text, concepts, and then here instead of saying, hey, go look for Tarantino, we can describe Tarantino, a movie director, right? And then you see Tarantino pops up, right? Because it understands that's the difference between semantic search and regular search, keyword-based search. So we are one step. We still need to do one step to make a RAG. Now let's apply, so because RAG is about retrieving the information and then applying the generation on top of it. So now let's do, for example, generation. Generate, group, and then task, explain why these articles are related, right? And then properties, we can say look into the title properties and the body text. And here, let me do some magic here as well. You can say limit to 2. In a second, I will explain. So what this code does basically says, hey, go grab top 2 articles about a movie director and then apply this prompt on top of it, right? And then it gives you back the result. I should have got connected to the Wi-Fi, but anyway, so there you go. Or you can do cool, like anything. From this point on is ChatGPT, right? You can say, tell me a joke about the main topic in these docs, right? So from this point on, it doesn't matter anymore. It's a RAG, right? It gets the information and generates what you asked for. And this is the entire thing that you need. But now let's do a bit more cool stuff. Let me show you a couple of examples that we have built. One of the examples that we have built, for example, is generative search. Here you can see I can look through all the data that you have, and then here I can specify a kind of a context, and I can say, again, a movie director, right? And then I can say, who is the main car here? You can also miss a spell because I enabled the spell check module, and then you say, give me back some information, right? Right, so it understands that. But then if I change this, for example, and ask the same question on top of our GitHub, for example, or Discord messages, right? It probably doesn't understand it because in our Discord, we didn't talk about it. And that's very important. That's what I was talking about, the minimum hallucination possible, because it understands the data. It's limited to your own data. It doesn't know about anything else outside the world, right? And here we go. But then as soon as I change the topic, for example, here I say TypeScript. And then if I ask a question, hey, do we have a documentation for our TypeScript client, right? Then There you go. It's based on all the conversation we had in our Discord channels. Now, what I'm going to show you is going to be really cool. Do you want to know what's the code behind this? Basically, the code behind that is, if you enable RAG, this is the entire code that you would need, basically. That's it. You did that few clicks in the dashboard, and this is the entire code a front-end developer, iOS developer need to put into their code, and you have a full at-scale production level AI app. Now, let me show you another example. Actually, yeah, my wife studies psychology. She would come every day to me and say, hey, do you know a tool that turns PDF into text? Do you know a tool that I did this interview? Can I turn it into a text and then compare it to the PDF? And I would always send her to ChatGPT, of course. But then at some point, for example, with multimedia or comparison and all those sort of things was not possible. So at one weekend, I said, let's just make her app with Unbody. So in a weekend, I built this AI assistant. And here you can, for example, look for, so what she does, she has a folder on Google Drive. She puts all the study material in there. And now she can basically say anxiety, and then it looks for all the folders and files about anxiety. And then she can, for example, select a few, like an MP4 file, a video, an MP3, or I don't know, a JPEG, and say, hey, how is, or compare these files and tell me more about the, what should I say, anxiety, for example, right? And then from now on, it's basically an assistant for her, right? And every time she has a new assignment, put it on the Drive folder, a minute later, it's updated, the knowledge base, boom, you have it. The code behind this, 3 lines of code max. Now, ready for the another one. This is our blogging platform. It's an open source framework. We have developed it with AI thinkers. They are a meetup like this meetup. They record videos for every meetup, and they have a lot of videos of the talks. This blogging platform is generated entirely based on only video files, nothing else. The system doesn't know anything else, and the rest is generated by Unbody, an AI. So basically, they have a folder on Google Drive, they dump their video files after each session, and this gets updated. The system automatically generates for them different categories, like the way how Netflix does. And for each of them, it streams the video at the best quality and come up with the description for each. What they can do also, you can now start asking questions in a different manner. And do you remember I was talking about AI native apps should also be different in the way how we interact with the software? This is also, so we try to also reflect those things in these use cases we're making. For example, you can start question. Who did talk about post data in UK, right? So, and then it goes, look at the videos, and all it has as a data is videos. They didn't even provide sub-transcription. Our system generates those automatically. So here you go. Thomas discuss about that, right? Let's go to video from Thomas. And now another magic. You can play, and it's already synced up, and everything is there. You don't need to do anything else, right? The transcription is there. So what you can do, you can enter the search mode here and say, okay, summarize. Is that Z here or S? Sorry. Confusing. Summarize this into 3 bullet points. And then you can chat with that particular video, right? I have one more thing, and then you can ask questions. Ooh, we have an error. Cool. But yeah, it got the answer. So you see the 3 bullet points. One more thing, and a funny one would be this guy. So I was in London about, I guess, in April, actually, 25th of April. I made this meme because I was so excited first time coming to London. I'm going to make another one for this time too. So I have a lot of desktop screenshots, PDF, a lot of files. My desktop is a mess. So I thought, okay, let's just make something with our image engine. I just hooked this to my Google Drive, my entire desktop to Google Drive, sync it up. And then every time I take a screenshot, it shows here. And what happens here, I can say, hey, show me all the Dark Theme UI. And then again, this is only based on image. There is nothing else. There is no text given. Now let's do a bit more crazy stuff. I can say, let's say, meme about London. It finds the meme about London. Now let's do a bit more crazy. Let's change this and then flying to London. Now, my boarding pass. Now I'm going to ask a bit more crazy question. What was my flight number to London? And then this time we generate, because it needs to analyze and understand and semantically work. There you go. Again, only images, only screenshots, no information. So and that's what I'm talking about, a more human software. And that's what I'm talking, because currently there's a huge gap when you look at the market and how AI is advancing. Pretty much everyone like me scare you to not develop with AI, but there is a reason. But we should not let that happen anymore. I believe the gap that we see, that AI is not in our everyday life as it should be, the way how it is advancing in terms of technologies, because not a lot of us are able to build with apps. I'm talking about those front-end developers, full stack developers, iOS developers. So we need to really bring this and kind of democratizing the way how we build with AI. And that's one of the main goals that we have at Unbody. And this pretty much was it. Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Let me go here. So we are actually looking for open source contributors. If you're a developer or product designer owner, call us. Or if you want to give us your money and become a pilot program, join it. Again, scan this one. And if you want to basically start building right away, scan that one. And yeah, it was really